Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, the subcommittee continues its important bipartisan oversight of cybersecurity and protecting our nation's critical infrastructure from cyber attacks. Federal agencies within our committee's jurisdiction and their partners in the private sector face serious cybersecurity threats to critical energy, water, and health systems. Major cyber incidents have repeatedly shown how harmful attacks on critical infrastructure can be to our nation. We all remember the ransomware attack on the Colonial Gas Pipeline. The attack triggered panic buying that contributed to fuel shortages and higher gas prices across the East Coast and the South. At the end of last year, cyber criminals stole the electronic patient records of more than 3 million patients from a California hospital system. That breach exposed sensitive personal information, including patient social security numbers, test results and diagnosis, and prescription history. And then earlier this year, the personal healthcare information of members and staff was stolen when DC HealthLink was breached. Now, cyber threats to critical energy, water, and health infrastructure are unfortunately becoming more common, and attacks are more costly. In 2022, hundreds of cyber attacks cost healthcare organizations billions of dollars and made it harder for doctors and other healthcare providers from caring for patients for months afterwards. Companies that own critical infrastructure face thousands of cyber attacks every year. While many of these attacks are unsuccessful thanks to the cyber defenses these companies have established, successful cyber attacks can have devastating consequences. During the early days of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Russian hackers unsuccessfully targeted America's energy grid. Experts have said that this incident is the closest we have come to losing control of grid infrastructure, and that the methods used represent an unprecedented threat. That's why bipartisan efforts in this committee are so important to bolster cybersecurity for critical infrastructure overseen by the Department of Energy, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Department of Health and Human Services. We worked together on the bipartisan America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018, and this law requires water systems to complete risk assessments and develop emergency response plans that account for cybersecurity risks. But despite these efforts, there are still gaps in the ability of federal agencies to prevent potential cyber attacks. In 2020, Russian hackers gained access to an update server at SolarWinds, a software company serving critical infrastructure companies and federal agencies. For months, the attackers were able to use SolarWinds systems to penetrate networks at hundreds of organizations and dozens of federal agencies. And while the method of attack was not necessarily new, the scale and scope was unprecedented. It exposed vulnerabilities and cybersecurity gaps that put critical infrastructure at risk. I strongly believe that DOE, EPA, and HHS are best equipped to handle internal and sector-relevant cybersecurity concerns. Much of our critical infrastructure relies on unique systems and specialized workforces. These agencies have the institutional knowledge and expertise to engage with their private sector partners to address complex sector-specific threats. We must focus on giving these agencies the resources they need to fight constantly evolving threats. But the Republicans' Default of America Act threatens indiscriminate cuts to federal agencies overseeing infrastructure. I'm concerned that it could seriously hamstring cybersecurity efforts at a time when we must be ramping up our defenses against cyber threats from criminal and foreign adversaries. And federal agencies need tools that enable them to leverage sector-specific expertise and institutional knowledge to prevent and respond to cybersecurity concerns. With bipartisan congressional support, DOE, EPA, HHS, and other federal agencies can continue to develop more efficient and robust cybersecurity defenses while also partnering with the private sector to protect our critical infrastructure systems. So I hope to continue this committee's important bipartisan work on this topic. Well, I look forward to hearing from our witnesses on the progress they've made and the challenges that they continue to face. With that, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you, gentlemen, for yielding back. That concludes members' opening statements. I would like to remind all members that their opening statements can be made a part of the record pursuant to committee rules. All right, we want to thank all of our witnesses for being here today and taking your time to testify before this subcommittee. Each witness will have the opportunity to give an opening statement of 5 minutes, followed by a round of questions from members. Our witnesses today are Bush Kumar, Director of Office of Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response, Department of Energy; Dr. Brian Mazanek, Deputy Director, Office of Preparedness, Department of Health and Human Services. David Travers, Director, Water Infrastructure and Cyber Resilience Division, Environmental Protection Agency. We appreciate all of you being here today, and I look forward to hearing from you on this important issue. As you are aware, this committee is holding an oversight hearing, and in doing so, we have the practice of taking testimony under oath. Do any of you have an objection to testifying under oath? Seeing no objections, we'll proceed. The chair also advises you are entitled to be advised by counsel pursuant to House rules. Do any of you desire to be advised by counsel during your testimony today? Seeing that none have requested that, would each of you rise and raise your right hand, please? You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.